to my podcast, a place where we explore the Bible. May each episode you hear empower, enrich, and enlighten you more in the knowledge of Jesus Christ. So the good news is that we have the wisdom of God, and the wisdom of God comes through discernment. Discernment is what we need to ask God for. We need to ask God for the ability to decipher and to distinguish what is of you and what is not of you. One of the things that have helped is me learning how the spiritual realm works. And you learn this through discernment. And I had to ask God, Lord, show me. Give me discernment to really attack the root of this thing. Attack what is truly working against me so that I can have success. The ability to be able to judge and have an understanding heart makes the difference. And I like how King Solomon, when he asked God for wisdom, he lets us know what wisdom is and the definition of wisdom by what he asked for. King Solomon did not just ask God, Lord, bless me for wisdom. He was very specific. He asked God for an understanding heart. Lord, help me to understand what this is. To judge that I may discern between good and bad. What you need is discernment to be able to distinguish what you hear. Hearing has so much to do with wisdom. And many times the enemy likes to plug our ears with all the foolishness that is leading us to hell. The enemy likes to clutter our ears with so much doubt, so much unbelief, so much desires, the cares of this world, the deceitfulness of riches. We have to learn how to tune out the voice of the enemy. But how can you tune him out if you can't even discern the voice of the enemy from the voice of God? You can't discern if this person is telling you good versus evil. If we don't have good discernment, we can't distinguish right from wrong. And what causes us to fail at times is that we think it's automatically, not knowing that you have to be intentional in whatever you hear. You have to be intentional to what you give your ear to. There's been times I've listened to things and I had to shut it off because I knew this is bringing in the spirit of lust. And now that that spirit of lust is entering in, it's causing me to have lustful desires. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm just weak. No, it's because you have given your ear to something that allow lust to get in, that allow pride to get in, that allow gossip to get in, that allow confusion to get in. Be mindful of the people you allow to speak over you. And be cautious of their words. Many times people ignorantly and knowingly will place curses over you just by their words. And if we're not in tune to God and we allow this person to curse us and say to us, this won't work out. No, you can't do it the biblical way. The biblical way says to wait until you're married to have sex, but those around you are telling me, no, you have needs. You need to fulfill them now. And you need to not wait because you need to to know what you're getting into, as if sex is everything in marriage. You also got to deal with the person. And the personality of someone is so much more important than what you get from the physical. Because it's the person that will have you elevate. It's the person that will have you excel. It is the person that will have and allow you to reach the climax that God has called for you to do. It's the person, and we learn the person through discernment. But if we're giving ears to all these other things of our flesh, and we're not allowing God to now give us the knowledge and the revelation we need, if we're not allowing God's wisdom to fill us, God's counsel, God's guidance, God's insight to now speak to us, and we're allowing our flesh to dictate to us our needs, no, devil, this is not what I need. I need to hear from the Lord. I need a word from the Lord. You need discernment, because many times what we are ignorant to, because we're not discerning the spirit that's connected to the word that people are speaking over us, it's limiting us from getting ahead. It's placing limitation on our lives, because now we are coming into agreement with curses rather than coming into agreement with the promises and the blessings of God. We're not joining ourselves with Jesus, who is the last Adam. We are joining ourselves with the Adam, the first Adam that fell. How many of us is tired of falling into the traps of the enemy, falling into sin, falling into idolatry, falling into gluttony, falling into the hand of the enemy, seeking to keep us bound when God says we are called to be free. And he came to set the captive free. How many of us want the victory? It says, thanks be to God who always calls us to triumph. When you have that mindset that I always triumph, you will see a change in your life. You will see things change in your life, because you're now coming into agreement with God. And many times we don't know the words that we're coming into agreement with is the thing that is keeping us captive. It's the things that is causing us to doubt and to question God. And we have to shut our ears to anyone, no matter who it is, that opposes God's truth, so that God may increase, so that we may increase in God. Thanks for tuning into this podcast. Join me again as we continue to simplify the Word of God. Until next time, be blessed.